All right. Welcome back, football faithful, to the Draft Podcast, a proud member of the Gem City Sports Podcast Network. Your front row seat to the NFL Draft. I am your host, Paul Adamaszek, and we've got a big one. 37 days from now, we'll be doing this for real, but tonight, we're taking our first crack at the podium. It's the first official TDP mock draft of the season, Mock Draft 1.0. No trades, no excuses. Just 32 picks straight down the line. Every team 1 to 32. We're building rosters like it's our job, and after the show, I'll drop an updated top 50 big board as well as the full mock draft from tonight. This is pure exercise, raw, unfiltered, no shortcuts. Every team gets a pick. Every pick has a purpose. And I'm not doing this alone. Joining me today is a special guest making his season 2 debut, my friend Joe Alward, high school football coach, amateur draft sleuth who knows the game like Bill Belichick knows hoodies. Here's how it's going to go. Head-to-head with me, alternating picks for all 32 teams, no trades, which means we're stuck with the organization currently in that slot, team by team from top to bottom. So I'm going to kick it off with the number 1 pick. We could have flipped a coin, but it's my show, so I decided I'm taking number 1. So Joe gets going to number 2, and we're going to go back and forth from there. So I got odds. He's got evens. Before we dive in, we've already got big movement. A blockbuster trade that happened today. The Miami Dolphins sent wide receiver Jalen Waddle and a 4th-round pick to Denver for the 30th overall pick, another 3rd-round pick, and another 4th-round pick. Joe, what did you think of that trade this afternoon, my man?
I think it's a good reset point for the Dolphins with moving on from Jalen Waddle, but it's kind of funny scrolling through social media and seeing some of the reactions to it. I think I sent you the tweet that was associated with the one that I loved. It was saying right now Malik Willis is probably begging to fail his physical as getting rid of
I
his
saw
best,
that one too.
as getting rid of his top target. So it's definitely a very big move for Miami, a gutsy move. Will it pay off? That's what you don't know about getting an extra lottery ticket.
That's that, and the lottery ticket is exactly right. I think Miami has 11 picks now, 7 of them in the top 100. I've got pick 11. You've got pick 30, which is really, really interesting to me. I'm really curious to see where you go with it. Okay, I don't want to give too much away, but once again, Joe and I are taking you through the full first round. For housekeeping purposes, Joey and I have not colluded on a predetermined 1 to 32. This is live, and we'll react in real time. We're able to take into consideration the first couple of days of free agency. This is the Draft Podcast, and we're starting at the top, and that starts with the Las Vegas Raiders, who've been on the clock since early January. And Joe, no surprises here. I'm going with Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback from Indiana, Heisman Trophy winner, national champion. I don't think that surprises anybody. Let's just get it out of the way.
Super shocker. I think the only conversations we've had about this podcast and this mock draft was we pretty much can see where the top 3 picks are going. It's basically after the top 3 picks is where the draft really starts.
I was going to say, I've got pick 3, and I have an idea of where you're going with number 2. Pick 3 is where it starts to get crazy for me. So who are you going with the Jets at number 2?
You got to go with Avril Reese. Probably, in my opinion, outside of Caleb Downs, the best defensive prospect available right now at any position. He's been looking great all season. Only 2 years as a starter, but both years having over 300 total snaps played, playing in over 14 games in both seasons. I think it's a slam dunk pick for the Jets to help bolster up that defense heading into this next season.
Dude had an unbelievable combine, lived up to the hype there. He and his running mate, Sonny Styles, put on a show in Mobile. So Arvell Reese going number 2. So here's where it gets fun for me. And I don't know who you think the Cardinals are going to take at pick number 3. And really, I just decided right now. I told you this. I did 8 mock drafts, and I have a whole top 50 big board that I'm looking at in front of me. He is my number 3 overall prospect, and I think that's what did it for me. He plays a position of high value. I'm going with the right tackle from the University of Miami, Francis Maui Noah, at number 3 to the Cardinals.
I think it's a great pick. He has a lot of question marks on whether or not he could stick at tackle due to some concerns about arm length and some of his measurables at the combine, but I think it's a safe pick. If he doesn't fit well at right tackle, I think he has an all-pro career lined up for him as an interior offensive line. So I think that's just a home run pick right there for that
Agree.
draft value.
I appreciate it, man. Who do you have with the Tennessee Titans at number 4? Try to help out that number 1 pick, Cam Ward, from a season ago.
I mean, I've toyed back and forth with another receiver option, but I think I got to stick with what my gut's going with. I think if you're the Tennessee Titans, it would be almost criminal to pass on Jeremiah Love in that position to be able to give that opportunity to Cam Love to have a steady run game, someone that can catch the ball, someone that's a great running back to be able to help loosen up that timing for Cam Ward when he's throwing the ball and doing anything that he's able to do well with.
Hard to disagree with that. Got to help your young quarterback out. Give him the absolute best. A blue chip running back. There's maybe only 4 or 5 blue chip prospects in the entire draft, and I think he's one of them. Moving right along, the Giants at pick 5. Once again, I did 8 of these mock drafts. I'm prepared for the situation. Love going 4th overall. I'm down between 2 guys here, and it's kind of like I look at the Giants took last year. I think the highest value player on the board doesn't fit well with what they took last year and then what they took probably 3 or 4 years ago. So I'm going to take this year's Combine Dynamo, the Combine superstar, Arvell Reese's running mate, and the guy who somehow outshined him in Indianapolis. I'm taking Sonny Styles, the linebacker out of Ohio State, at number 5 overall to the Giants. What say you?
That's a phenomenal pick. And honestly, as a Browns fan, that was something I was looking at there at pick 6. I know everyone's saying Joe, but the offense, the offensive line, the receivers, with this being such a deep draft with receivers and offensive linemen, I was actually going to take Sonny Styles there at 6 with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah as question marks of whether he's going to play football again. Carson Schweitzer is going to need to have an on-ball linebacker next to him. So jealous of the pick as a Browns fan. Would have loved to have Sonny Styles in Cleveland if this were the real draft. But no, I think that's a slam dunk home run pick, and that's a great building block blue chip type prospect to be bringing in.
I appreciate it, man. So this is where, to me, we said 3 it gets interesting, and I really do think it does. If 3 goes the way we think, 4 makes the most sense to me, and I think Styles, there's no way he falls out of the top 5. We live in Northwest Pennsylvania. The tri-state area is within 90 miles of 3 professional franchises, one of them being the Cleveland Browns, who have 2 first-round picks. 6th overall, all the needs that Cleveland has, where do you see the Browns going 6th?
I think everybody, as I was kind of alluding to in that Sonny Styles pick that I would have made there for Cleveland, is everyone's expecting they're going to go offense. I don't see Andrew Berry as being the type of person that's going to panic. He's going to let this draft fall into his lap. While I do think that they do trade back from this number 6 spot for all intents and purposes with what we're doing here, obviously can't trade back. So I think they're going to go BPA on the board for what is a positional need and the best player for that position. So I'm going to take Caleb Downs, a safety out of Ohio State, to match up with Grant Delp in the back in that secondary, along with Denzel Ward, Tyson Campbell, and all that. Just that great defense overall. I know the Browns need a lot on offense. I just think there's a lot more opportunities with pick 24 and their 2nd and 3rd round picks to address those needs.
You don't have to sell me on Caleb Downs. I think he's probably the best overall player in the draft. I was kind of secretly hoping he'd fall to 11, but it makes sense that he goes top 6. If you would have taken him 2nd overall, I would have been completely fine with it.
I don't think he falls that far down to 11. I think it's that aspect of if Cleveland does trade back, someone trading up into that 6th spot is going to be going for Caleb Downs.
I agree. I think the only thing, and we can get into this a little bit later, it's the value of the safety spot. I think Hamilton went 14th. Kyle Hamilton went 14th for the Ravens. Nicky Minwari went like 33rd or 34th. Safety, the value's just not there for the early first round. It's going to be interesting. Which leaves me with pick 7. Downs is off the board, and I think this is where you start to put positional value above maybe workout numbers. And I think this is where the Commanders are absolutely thrilled to see David Bailey, the edge from Texas Tech, still available, falling all the way down to number 7. He is my number 1 edge in this class, just ahead of Reuben Bain, who I think they had a conversation between the 2 guys. And then when you get right down to it, you look at the arm length. And as great as Reuben Bain was, I look at the get off. And I look at the upside of David Bailey, and I think there's no way that Washington can walk away without adding that guy to their roster. So I'm going to take David Bailey from Texas Tech, 7th overall.
Awesome pick. I had Ruben Bain originally as my top defensive end
Yep.
on the draft board, but I think David Bailey is definitely a better fit in that position. And Ruben Bain is actually one of the guys I have on my radar as a potential free fall through the first round due to some of the concerns about his measurables at the combine. That arm
Yep.
length, definitely a huge concern. So while I do think Bain will overall professional career said and done be the better defensive end out of this class, I do think there's going to be some concern of buyer's remorse and see him fall down that first round.
I don't disagree. How about number 8, the New Orleans Saints? I think they would have liked to see Jeremiah Love fall. Then again, they did just sign Travis Achan, which is, it's not Etienne, it's Achan. So they got a new running back there. They have the quarterback Shuck. What else do they need at 8 overall?
They need another playmaker out there. There's a lot of concerns about how that dynamic in that wide receiver room is going. Are they going to make a trade and trade away or that talent they have in the wide receiver room? Are they going to keep it? There's just so much uncertainty. So I'm going to go with Carnell Tate, who I think it's incredible to think of all these Ohio State players going in this top 10 and they didn't win a national championship. That's not throwing any shade at Ohio State. It's just mind-boggling the amount of talent that Ohio State team is producing right now to have 4 players going in the top 8 picks. And I think Carnell Tate will fit in well there in New Orleans.
I love it. They have Chris Olave, another Ohio State product down there. Concussions have been his Achilles heel thus far, but he's a really talented player. And yes, I love pairing him with Carnell Tate. That works as a nice 1-2. They work off of each other well. They fit, and it gives Tyler Shuck another playmaker on the outside. Such a smooth, fluid athlete, and one of only 2 guys to score 10 out of 10 on the hand scale. He and Mekhi Lemon. So Carnell Tate going top 10, the first receiver off the board. And that's something to talk about because at 9th overall, the Chiefs, I think, could use another receiver as well. Keep an eye out for them to re-sign Tyreek Hill. I don't know if Tyreek ever plays again, to be completely honest.
I don't think he does, to be honest.
It seems to be a popular landing spot. And I think it makes a whole lot of sense because they're familiar with him and his personality and his play style and kind of how he works. But I think for the time being, they still need another presence who can catch the ball. I think they would have been happy with Carnell Tate, but I think they're also going to be just as happy with Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver out of Arizona State. They're at 9 overall, giving Patrick Mahomes another receiving threat.
Throwing me off a little bit with that pick. I was not expecting Jordan Tyson to go that high. I did not have him ranked that high on my wide receiver list. That's not diminishing how talented of a player he is. I just really wasn't expecting that aspect for him to go that high.
Interesting. Well, so I'm throwing you curveballs.
I got to throw one back to you.
Okay, here we go. The Bengals at number 10 just lost Trey Hendrickson. They couldn't stop a nosebleed last year. Which side of the ball do you see the Bengals going on at 10th overall?
As surprising it is, and as much as I think as a fellow AFC North fan that they need to address that defense, I think one of the things they're going to go with is Spencer Fano here, the tackle from Utah. He's another one of those tweeners that he could stick at left tackle, right tackle, but at the same time, I could see him kicking inside and being an all-pro guard. And that interior offensive line was a major concern for the Bengals this past season. As a Browns fan, I know that true and dear because of the amount of sacks that we were able to accumulate on Joe Burrow in those 2 games. So I think Fano there fits a position need. They need interior offensive line, and I know Fano's a tackle technically, but I definitely could see Fano kicking inside.
Yeah, and it's one, like you said, he played right tackle, and everything that I've heard that he's going to be an all-pro center. He's going to get an opportunity to play on the outside, and if they kick him inside, that he'll be moved to center. So I'm not gonna say anything about position value because if you get yourself a starting like top 10 player at their position, I'm good with it. And I say that to say this because we're at pick 11 with the Dolphins with a lot of talent and a lot of needs for that team. I counted 13 starters that team needs, Joey, and that doesn't include the long snapper and gunners. They need everything. 6 players on defense, 5 players on offense, at least. And with pick number 11, they have 2 picks in the first round after that Waddle pick. I'm actually going to take a guy that this is the one that I knew I'd throw you off with. I'm glad he's still here. And the position value is not there. But once again, there are only 4 or 5 blue chip players in this draft. And one of them is an offensive guard. Olaiva Vega Ione from the University of Penn State. He's the best guard in this draft. The Dolphins have needed a guard for 25 years. The best one in the draft. He's a blue chip player, and he fell to 11. I'm taking him here for the Dolphins. Vega Ione.
You definitely did not throw me off with that being such a high value on him. I'm just as high. He is definitely a guy I could see, even with the Browns signing Tevin Jenkins back, Ellen Jenkins, and Zion Johnson. With the Browns trade back from 6, he was one of the guys that I could see them trading back for in the middle of that like 10 to 15 range. So definitely just as high as you on that play on him right for that position.
Joe, before we go to the Cowboys, I already missed my mark. We were supposed to stop after pick 10, and I asked you a question. So this early read, does anything surprise you so far? Is this playing out the way you expected? First 11 picks.
The Jordan Tyson pick definitely threw me off. Otherwise, the guys that are in those first 11 picks, I would not be shocked to see them go in some sort of order. Not saying necessarily those are the guys that are going to those teams, but those are the guys that I would have projected to go in the top 11 outside of Tyson.
Outside of there's always I think I had Jakeem Grant at 9th last year too. Not Jakeem Grant. Kenneth Grant, rather. Jakeem Grant. Kenneth Grant. Jakeem just retired. Kenneth Grant, who ended up going 13th. I had him at 9th last year. So you called me out on that one, but I was darn close. So keep that for what it will. And I think it was a Saints pick last year too that I caught you on. So we're at 12. We're at Jerry Jones, and you're the closest human being to Jerry Jones in unpredictability. Who do you have the Cowboys selecting 11th overall? Lots of talent still on the board, Joe.
Monroe Freeling, tackle out of Georgia. I think Jerry is salivating at the opportunity to adding I don't want to say generational tackle, but the measurables that Monroe put up at the combine, the ability to lock down the left tackle position for the next decade, or at the same time, he's a type of player that he could kick out to the right tackle position if need be. So I think just the versatility aspect that he has, because not a lot of people remember early in his career at Georgia, he had over 200 snaps at right tackle in his early career at Georgia. So I think that versatility that, yes, you want him at left tackle, but he has that opportunity if Dallas needs him to go to right tackle, that he has that ability as well.
Dude, super high upside, unbelievable athlete for his size. The frame is going to allow him to add 15 to 20 pounds. The pass setting tape isn't great, but I love the upside of Freeling that, yeah, I agree. There's no way he slips out of the top 15, and 12 is a good spot for him. Picking 13th are the Rams via a trade with the Atlanta Falcons. Lots of options on the board here. I tend to think that they're going to try to help out their future Hall of Fame quarterback with another target. I'm between 2 guys. I think you have an idea of the 2 who I'm between. I think it's a little bit early for the tight end, who I don't have rated as quite as high as the 2 tight ends that went with the first 14 picks last year. So I'm going to go with the 3rd receiver off the board in the first 13 picks and go with the Biletnikoff winner. He's a strange cat, but wide receivers all are. I'm going to go with Micaiah Lemon, the wide receiver out of USC, pick 13 to the Rams. What do you think?
All the good ones are, at least.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, he definitely threw me off on some of that media stuff during the combine.
He's a strange cat, but he can play.
Was that just a front for him? Maybe. I don't know. I don't really care. The kid can ball out. That's a great pick. If you're the Rams, you are running to the podium to make that pick if Lemon falls that far. So, yeah, I'm with you 100% on that one.
We fall down to the Baltimore Ravens. 14th overall, new head coach, new defensive coordinator, couple of holes after free agency, although they did bring Trey Hendrickson in, paid him 112 or $116 million. Where do you think the Ravens go at 14?
Surprisingly, the Ravens need a lot. I mean, you lost your head coach to start. You lost your offensive coordinator, a good chunk of your staff. You lost a lot of your offensive line, a lot of your weapons in general. But I think in order to get Lamar the help that he needs, I'm going to go Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end out of Oregon. I like his ability to play attached to the offensive line, but also Sadiq can play as a true slot receiver or a true outside receiver. I mean, that guy, you can pretty much put him anywhere on the field, and he's going to succeed. So I think that's a weapon that Lamar Jackson would love to have, especially a playmaking, creative tight end like Sadiq, with the aspect of how Lamar likes to work off script and scramble so much and work on those broken plays.
I love the athlete that is Kenyon Sadiq. I think it's a great spot for him. He's going to get an opportunity to learn. They did just lose Isaiah Likely, so that pass catcher happy TE2 role in Baltimore. It's a great spot for Sadiq.
And Andrews
And I
isn't
think
getting any younger. Let's be honest here. I mean,
exactly,
I honestly don't. I
exactly.
don't even
Yep.
remember how old he is, but he's got to be up there. So you're eventually going to be needing to look for that replacement. Like you said, the fact you lost Likely, here's a great option.
He's on the wrong side of 30, not getting any younger, and yeah, you're already down a tight end. I think it's perfect. It's where Tyler Warren went last year to the Colts, 14th overall. I think it's a little rich, but it makes sense to me. And also, you know who likes that pick quite a bit?
Who?
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, picking 15th, because both teams needed a cornerback, and the best one on the board somehow fell outside the top 14 picks. So Mansour Delane, the compact, smooth, tough, very elite athlete, elite cover guy that is Mansour Delane, is going 15th overall to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They just lost their number one corner in free agency to the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's a big hole out there on defense, and Delane fills it well.
And it's kind of surprising sitting here looking back. I'm taking notes as we go here, looking at picks. It is very shocking to me to see a corner, the first corner off the board, be at this point. Typically, you see teams taking those early risks because defensive back and corner specifically is a very, very important position on that
High value
defense.
spot. Yep.
Exactly. And the fact that we're talking that he fell into the 15 range is just mind-boggling to me.
I agree completely. He was one of the guys I thought for the Dolphins at 11, and they need three starting corners, but they need a guard, and that was probably an emotional pick as much as it was a brain one. So yeah, Delane to 15, can it happen? Maybe, but like I said, Buccaneers love it. So we're almost halfway through here, bud. Jets picking 16th in one of the picks that they traded for Sauce Gardner a year ago, making their second pick of the first round. The New York Jets, who have as many, if not more, holes than the Miami Dolphins somehow. Where do you think they go at 16?
I think they're going to take Sauce's replacement. I think we're going to start seeing a run on corners. I got Jermod McCoy from Tennessee coming off the board here, heading out to the Big Apple to help bolster up that Jets defense.
Now, let me ask you this. Does it concern you at all? Now, he tore his ACL in December of 2024. He did not return in 2025. That was more or less expected, but he was cleared to work out in December. He didn't really do it. He was cleared to work out at the Combine. He didn't do it. He was cleared to play in the Senior Bowl. He showed up, but he didn't do it. We expect him to work out at the Pro Day, but until he does, do you have any concerns at all on Jermon McCoy, who, minus the injury, probably would have been the number one corner, even over Delane?
It doesn't surprise me if I'm part of that McCoy camp, agents, everyone support casts around him. I think giving him his first opportunity to be in front of the cameras to see what he can do should be in that controlled environment of a pro day. Something that you've practiced repetitively going into. You know exactly what's going to come at you. Every drill, every break. I feel like there's too many unknowns playing in the Senior Bowl or practicing in the Senior Bowl. Too many unknowns. Yes, it's scripted at the combine, but there's a lot of other things going into that. I think this is the perfect time to have the quote unquote re-release of his playing ability is to be at his pro day.
Okay, fair enough. I don't disagree with any of that. And you said the word that I was kind of looking for, the agents, the people kind of driving this whole process for him. So it makes sense. I am worried a little bit. I'm also worried that the Jets need so much help. And I always worry about first round picks being asked to go in and do too much too soon. And with that ACL, I'm just hesitant, man. But I get it. And like I said, if he works out, great.
Every year there's that one guy. Every year there's that one guy coming off injury with a lot of question marks. And there's
I
always
was thinking
that
about Jeffrey
team.
Simmons. He was underdrafted, went to the Titans, coming off that injury, and people were like, "Well, before the injury, he was this and that," and then he turned out to be exactly what everybody kind of expected him to be pre-injury. So it was awesome. All right, you picked McCoy. That means I'm on the board, and I'm looking at the Lions. I guess I'm stalling a little bit, Joe. 17. McCoy's gone. Sadiq's gone. This is interesting. I have defensive end, corner, tight end, tackle listed as my needs. And I'm looking at the top 2 players available, my top 50, an edge and a tackle. I think this is a spot where the number 7 player on my board finally comes off, and I think it could be, when it's all said and done, people going, how did he get to go to that defense? This is where Ruben Bain comes off the board. He's going to play opposite Aiden Hutchinson, and those 2 dudes are going to absolutely ruin the day of many a quarterback, especially in the NFC North. Ruben Bain coming off the national championship game. Joy was a top 3 pick. Do you disagree?
No, not at all. Like I said, Ruben Bain, I think he might be one of the best athletes in this draft outside of Caleb Downs. I think it's just those cautious people with his wingspan and his arm
That's
reach
it.
that's going to get him to fall.
That's
And I
it.
mean, that's if you're Ruben Bain, you should be thankful that you fell because you're falling into a team that's not too far off of being competitive.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's an absolute steal for the Lions at 17. Moving along, we're still in the NFC North with the Minnesota Vikings at 18. They got a new quarterback. What do you see the Vikings going with? A new GM at 18.
Well, with Harrison Smith not being in the picture anymore, I'm going to go with Dylan Thieneman, the safety out of Oregon. I think bolstering up Minnesota's known to have always that rough, tough safety and secondary. I think his profile fits perfectly. He's a guy that's not afraid to play in the box, having 434 snaps inside the box just this past season alone. Over 650 total snaps inside the box in his career in college. So I just think that's a great fit for not only Dylan, but also for the Minnesota Vikings.
Great. I agree wholeheartedly. Great spot. Great athlete. Again, I question value because it's a safety, but again, we have no trades. You and I in this 32 pick mock. So again, you're looking at best player available at a position of need. Hard to argue with Dylan Thieneman. Like you said, Harrison Smith, is he gone or is he just 42 years old?
I'm pretty sure I heard he retired.
Okay.
If
All right.
he's not
That sounds
retired,
right.
if he's not retired, it's a great person for Dylan to learn from in his rookie year.
I agree wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly. All right. So we get to the Panthers. We're staying in the NFC. Hit pick 19. Joy, we're going to take a break after 20 and we'll recap basically 12 to 20. Panthers, let's see. I'm looking at, so Fano's gone. Sadiq is gone. I have listed as defensive end, defensive tackle, defensive end, and tackle in the mock drafts that I did. I have defensive tackle, offensive tackle, and defensive end as the top 3 players remaining on my board. So hard to. Falk, Woods. I'm gonna go with defensive end out of Auburn, Keldrick Falk. This we're kind of betting on the athlete. The stats weren't there. The tape is choppy, but you see the workout numbers, and you see when you see on film, you just see a dancing bear, a guy who moves unbelievably well, and then you realize how big he is. He's 6'6", like close to 300 pounds, and you're like, he looks like a thin like NBA center. Like he's not a rotund, big, heavy center area dude. He's just a long, big, thick athlete. And I think the ceiling is unbelievably high. It's a reach in terms of the production, but I don't think it's a reach at all in terms of athlete. He's a top 10 athlete in the draft, and to get him at 19, I think is a boon. I think the Panthers are one of those teams that they're looking for a home run anyway, and I think Keldrick Falk absolutely has the ability to be a home run hit at 19. What say you?
I think he's the definition of prospect in this draft. Like you said, doesn't really show up consistently on film. Stats are a little choppy at times, but just the projection of what you can get him to, I think
Yeah,
he's the blue chip definition of prospect.
high end athlete, and it's at a position of need. I think he's the best edge still available. I have him. I have him as my 16th overall player, and I got him at 19.
Great
That's
value.
pretty good. I think so too. Tackles are there. Defensive tackles are there. I got another offensive tackle, and I've got a corner in my next 4 in my top 50. So like I said, they all would have worked. I just think if you're looking for a swing, if you're taking a swing at the highest ceiling, I think Falk is that highest ceiling. So you could talk me out of that one, talk me into another player, a safer pick, Joe. I like Falk.
Let's be honest, in the NFL draft, there's no such thing as a safe pick. These guys are scouted so much, but how often do you see first round picks flame out? More often than not, a first round pick is just going to end up being your mediocre player and not the all pro superstar Hall of Famer that everybody's dreaming about each and every year.
No, you're not wrong. But again, this is it's the NFL. It's a freak show, right? We're drafting freaks. That's what we want. The testing numbers. This is what we're all about. And Falk is a freak among freaks.
I think that's a great trend and or leeway into my next pick.
I was gonna say let's get into it. Pick 20 before we take our break. The Cowboys back on the clock via this was the Micah Parsons trade, I believe, a pick from Green Bay. Cowboys picking 20. What say you, Joe?
Freak athlete. This guy, 6'1", 235, only 21 years old, but here's the catch. He can play anywhere on the field. He has over 45 snaps at slot corner, but he's a linebacker. C.J. Allen. I think he's a great pick for Dallas. You can move him around that defense. He can play in the 3-4. He can play in the 4-3. Like I said, he has over 45 snaps the last 2 years playing as a slot, as a linebacker. I just think it'd be atrocious if you let him fall further down the board and you're Dallas and you need that linebacker.
Interesting. And you know what? I'm looking at all my stuff here.
Got you on your heels.
You sure do. Now that wasn't one of the guys I was looking at for Pittsburgh, but being where we are, and being that, I have family members who they are.
Don't forget your recap.
The Steelers on the clock. Yeah. Okay. Man, I'm on the Steelers pick, and I'm like, I'm just worried about who I pick for the Steelers, because this is going to be the most torn apart pick. Joe, we're through 20 picks. What's jumping out to you right now? Who's the best value on the board? Maybe a spot you think we overthought.
There's still a ton of value on the board. I'm not going to say who my most surprised player still on the board is. I think it's going to shock a lot of people. It's someone that I love. It's part of the reason why I hope the Browns don't go with a specific position, because I don't want to give it away at the number 6 spot. So having him still on my board, I'm excited to make that pick at 24. But I'm not going to get too far into that. But like you said, I think just some of the positional value we saw in 12 through 20, having the tight end come off the board, having someone coming off an injury and McCoy coming off the board, having a safety come off the board. So a lot of difference in the positional value for those picks. But all guys that at the end of the day, come April, you don't know what's going to happen. We can't predict it. Crazy things do happen.
I love CJ Allen, the player. And I was reading something the other day. I can't remember who did the study or where they got the numbers and all that, but I did read, based on someone's advanced metrics, that CJ Allen has the highest chance of becoming a Hall of Fame player in this year's draft. Don't ask me how they figured it out. I didn't read the research study, but that's what I read, and I go, oh, that's really interesting. I think that's a real good nugget.
I think it's the versatility that he has. Like I said, being able to play in multiple spots on the field. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. Let me take a look. He's played so minimal. He does have a handful of snaps each season lining up on the D line, so it's something that he's lined up at
Position
corner.
versatility.
Yeah, he's played corner. He's lined up as boundary corner 6 times last season, 10
Insane.
times the year before that, 5 times the year before that. I mean, you're talking about a linebacker lining up as a boundary corner.
Yeah. So you have basically he plays off-ball linebacker, but he's able to line up at edge. He can play nickel, and obviously they trust him on the boundary. That it just speaks to athletic prowess. It speaks to football IQ. What's the old saying, Joe? The greatest ability is availability. The more you can do, the more the coach can look for you to do. So I love that pick.
That's one of the things I
And
take to my kids as coaching at the high
right,
school level is, hey, you might not want to be an offensive lineman, you might not want to be a wide receiver, but availability. That's what's going to come down to get to the next level.
Joe, you know what I love most about that? The break after 20 and the breakdown of CJ Allen, it allowed me a good chance to sit back and stall, really, as I get to my Steelers pick here at 21. I talked myself out of it, and I've just talked myself back into it, and I'm just thinking, how can I defend myself when people come after me on this one? What do the Steelers need, Joe? No.
Ty Simpson.
No. We were just talking about it, and this is what re-sold me on it. The more you can do, right? We want to take best player available. That's obvious. We want to take a position of need. That's also obvious. What sticks out is what a guy can do outside of what you need him to do or what you draft him primarily to do. You just went over this for CJ Allen. We're going to draft and play off-ball linebacker, but we know he can play a little slot. We know he can get on the edge a little bit.
I know where you're going with this
pick.
around.
I'm going to the offensive side of the ball.
Oh, no. Okay, I don't know.
I'm going to the offensive side of the ball. We got a team with DK Metcalf at receiver. Big guy, outside. He's your X. They just traded for another 6'4", one-trick pony. It's a hell of a trick. He's going to play on the outside. They just lost their slot receiver. They need a guy who can catch 100 balls lined up anywhere on the field, in the slot, at the F, coming out of the backfield. He can catch punts. He can return kicks. He is my favorite receiver, not the number one receiver. He's my favorite receiver in this draft out of Texas A&M, Kevin KC Concepcion, coming to Pittsburgh, providing a safety blanket, an outlet for whoever ends up playing quarterback in Pittsburgh. They're coming away with a guy who can line up anywhere on the field. He's going to catch the ball and produce yards after the catch. KC Concepcion, 21, lock it in. I love it. It's my favorite pick so far.
This is no shade with you being a Dolphins fan, but he is a rich man's Jakeem Grant.
Oh, no. You didn't watch Jakeem. Jakeem couldn't catch a cold. He's a great punt returner.
That's why I said rich man.
Has great
He's
hands.
the rich man version of it.
So I told you about the hands test, and only Lemon and Tate scored 10 out of 10. Concepcion went 9.5 out of 10. He is no slouch. He is a hands catcher, doesn't let it get into his body. He's not like Jalen Waddle where he has to jump off the ground and tuck everything in, let the ball in, catch the ball with his body. He is a plucker, and he has an innate ability to know what the first move needs to be after he catches the ball to make the initial man miss. He and Mekhi Lemon have a sixth sense. They know where the defender is. They know how to pluck the ball and kind of move their body into the position as they're catching to make that first defender miss. And then it's kind of, it's wide open from there. They're a water bug from there. I just love Concepcion at 21. I think I have him as my 25th best player. I'm supposed to release this big board right after this thing, Joe. I don't know. 25 just seems low. I spent a lot of time on it, but 25 seems low. I love Concepcion. Let's not take too much time on it. Who do you have for the Chargers at 22? What does Mike McDaniel want to do?
Speaking of versatile players, this is kind of more of a Harbaugh pick. We're talking about physical specimens. This guy is 6'2", 202 pounds. But I'm looking at the numbers right now. He's played in his career, might as well just call it over 900 snaps in the box. He's played on average at least 170 snaps deep. He's played in the slot at least 40 times, and at least 10 times in each of his first 3 seasons playing, he lined up on the D line. I'm going with safety. Oh, my name just dropped. Emmanuel McNeil Warren
Oh, okay.
at the safety out of
The
Toledo.
the torpedo from Toledo.
Yes.
Okay, one of my favorite players. Disappointed in how he tested at the combine, but yeah, dude, you want to talk about a box safety that brings it? I think you're going to have to protect him with scheme a little bit. He's going to get outrun. I don't think he's the fastest guy playing safety in the league, but I agree. He's got position versatility. He can play in the box. He can play some nickel, and he's just got a tremendous frame. Love to see what they end up doing with him in in Los Angeles. Sorry.
Just call it San Diego. Just call it San Diego. It'll always be San Diego.
Whatever. Right. Okay. So San Diego's taking EMN because I'm not writing all that out. So we're down to 23. We're with the Philadelphia Eagles, and we're getting into the Eagles do this every year, Joe. Howie Roseman, wherever he's at, if Howie Roseman calls you, don't pick up the phone. Just he's going to fleece you. He's going to get the best of you. We're not allowed to trade, so he sits back. He's at 23, and he's just going to let the draft come to him. Who's still there? Who do I like? And at 23, he's sitting real pretty, man. Sitting real pretty. I've got 4 guys higher than 23 on my board here, sitting here for Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie to take. I thought the offensive line was a little more suspect last year than we're used to seeing. And I'm going to have him take, let's see, he's 11 on here. I have him at 23rd overall on my board. The left tackle, I think they're going to move him inside to guard. The other tackle from Utah, Caleb Lomu.
Love Lomu. I think he's a great pick. He's somebody that I had on my radar for the Browns with their next pick, or maybe that first pick in that first pick they have in the second round. I think that's a can't miss, but not to be passing rumors around. But did you see the latest Eagles rumor going around?
No, go ahead.
AJ Brown to the Raiders for Max Crosby coming back to the Eagles, including some pick switches. It's something I saw right before jumping on the podcast with you. I saw it come across social media. Again, I don't know how true it is, but just kind of the way you were just talking about Howie.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me at all.
That sounds about right. Again, we try to do this, we can only do this as the picks stand, basically as we started this thing. So I appreciate that. I did not see that. I just think Lomu, remember, Fano gets all the love because he's longer. You kind of, if you're looking at these guys like from Central Casting, Fano looks really good. But if you recall, Fano was the left tackle until Lomu came in and they moved Fano to the right side. I just think Lomu is that dude. And I think you slide him into that left guard spot next to, and his name is escaping me right now, their left tackle from Australia. But the left side of that line is absolutely star-studded if you slide him in there, and they get right back to running the football. And with or without A.J. Brown, I think they're a better team with a better starting front five. So with that, we move to pick 24. Joey, we're almost 45 minutes into this thing. We're looking good. You have the Browns' second pick of the first round. I'm looking at pick 25. I've still got 4 guys sitting in my top 25 available at this spot. Who do you see the Browns going with after picking Caleb Downs at 6th overall?
Pick comes true. Sorry. Broke out a little bit there for a second.
I was going to say, start over. Pick 24, the Cleveland Browns.
Omar Cooper Jr. Indiana. I think he's a great fit for what they need in that wide receiver room.
All right, I'm losing Joey here. Joey, do me a favor, refresh, come back in. I'm going to take the next pick, which is the Bears, and I'm going to recap 20 through 25. Refresh, come back in. So I'm going to do that real quick. All right, sorry about that. It's internet. This is live podcasting. This is how it goes. Joey's coming to us live from North Carolina tonight, so a little bit of weather on the East Coast. No problem. No problem. So he just took Omar Cooper Jr., if you did not hear, the wide receiver from the University of Indiana. He is the 5th wide receiver taken in this first round. So 5 receivers in the top 24 picks. 20, he went with C.J. Allen. 21 is Casey Concepcion to the Steelers. 22, he took Emmanuel McNeil Warren, the torpedo from Toledo, the safety, to the Chargers. I took Caleb Lomu, the left tackle from the University of Utah, at the Eagles. He took Omar Cooper Jr., 24th overall, to the Browns. So the Browns had Caleb Downs and Omar Cooper Jr., 2 huge spots for them coming into this draft. Let's see. He's back in here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I think we're good. That was strange. Still had 4 bars on my internet.
No problem. No problem. I just went back through 20 through 24, and I'm going to make my Bears pick right now. At 25, a lot of options still on the board here. Bears could look for an offensive lineman. They could use a defensive lineman. They could use a defensive end. And I'm just going to take BPA right here. He is my 22nd overall player. He falls to 25. He could have been taken top 5 if you would have taken his tape before this last season at Clemson. Peter Woods, the defensive tackle. The Bears love defense. They love interior defensive linemen. Peter Woods, one of the most athletic defensive tackles we've seen in the last couple of cycles, and I think the Bears are over the moon to take a guy at his size and his athletic ability at 25.
6'3", 310, and just turned 21 years old. Can't go wrong with that pick.
I love that, man. Bills at 26. What is going to get them over the AFC Championship hump? And possibly over the Patriots, and we'll say the Broncos now into that Super Bowl contention side.
And keep in mind, brand new stadium coming this fall to Buffalo. So this prospect, this player is going to be able to play in that brand shiny new stadium.
Is that opening this year?
Yeah, it's opening. Yep, it's opening this year. Got you on 2 things this year tonight.
Wow, that's crazy.
But with this pick, I am going to go with a guy that I could see as well. He's a big guy, 6'6", 315, plays tackle, but I could also see him kicking on inside. I'm going to go with Blake Miller, the tackle out of Clemson, to help shore up that offensive line for Buffalo.
Okay. I had another tackle over him, but I can see. So I Blake Miller and the other guy who I will not mention, almost the same. Athletic freaks, but the tape isn't super clean. You can see the projection. You can see the ceiling. Will they ever hit it? You don't know. But I love the swing. Buffalo, who's been fairly consistent on that offensive line for quite some time now. Yeah, it's time to start refreshing that. Obviously, injuries are a part of the game. Nice to have a swing tackle. And Blake Miller, you could do a heck of a lot worse at 26. He's not going to come in to start, so it's a bit of a luxury pick. But I like the idea for the future, especially if you like your offensive line coach, like what he's able to do with your tackles. I think he's going to be a real boon for that team in the future. So that was 26, Blake Miller. I'm looking at 27 for the 49ers. Another team that's looking at a potential Super Bowl run. And they're looking, are they a piece away? I'm looking at the couple of mocks I've done. Looking at the future. Looking at the rankings. I think this is a team that could use a little bit more Defensively, I'm going to go BPA. I'm going to take a guy who should not last to pick 27, but did, and they're going to walk away and love it. I'm going to take the corner from Clemson, Avion Terrell, top-rated player still available on my board. Just think he slides in, a guy who could play in the nickel. I'd rather play him on the outside, give him the boundary to work with. Brother was a first-round pick of the Falcons in 2019, I believe, AJ. So there's some NFL bloodlines there. Real clean evaluation. Super smooth. A little small, but he makes up with it for the athleticism and the twitchiness. Plays the ball real nice. Aggressive at the catch point. Pretty good hands, not great. He's not a super threat to turn it over. He's not like Jack Jones where he's real hit or miss. Plays it kind of safe, so he's not going to pick it off a whole ton, but he can if he's in good position. And I think, like I said, it's just an easy plug-and-play player that you can start from day one.
Love the pick.
You are picking 28th for the Houston Texans. What say you?
We're going to go with Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard out of Oregon, helping build up that offensive line for the Texans. Interior offensive line, both center and guard, a position of need for the Texans going into this draft. And Pregnon, I think, is the most safe pick as a guard that you know is going to be able to stick at that position.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm looking at my, let's see, Pregnon. I have him down at 42 on my top 50. So I would say that's probably your biggest reach to me so far. Again, position value, guard. I've argued both sides of the coin. It's not a high value player, but I took a guard at 11 because it's the best player available at a position of need. So I totally get it. Again, I have them at 42, so we're not terribly far off. Maybe they see something that they absolutely love. They plug and play. If he's a starter there for 10 years, who am I to say that that's the wrong pick?
In the Texans, I have their positions of need as running back, center, guard, defensive line. Definitely don't see any running backs worthy of going this high. Kind of debated McDonald from Ohio State, the D tackle in that position.
Yeah.
But definitely thinking that offensive line with C.J. Stroud and the direction the Texans want to go, you got to build it up on the trenches on the offensive side of the ball.
Hey, I don't disagree. Protecting C.J. Stroud should be priority one. So that's that. It makes a ton of sense the more I think about it. I wasn't drafting for the Texans, so I didn't really go into the draft strategy. It makes a ton of sense. As soon as you said Stroud, I was like, yeah, that's right.
Protect the franchise.
I'm picking 20. That's it. I'm picking 29. It was the Rams. It's now Kansas City. I'm looking back at Kansas City earlier. I took Jordan Tyson. So let's go to the other side of the ball. They just released one of their starting corners. So I think this is too easy. I think Brandon Cece, cornerback from South Carolina, slot it, start it.
I like it. I had Colton Hood. Above him, but I think that's still a very good value pick for that position, and definitely a draft need coming into this for the Chiefs, and going to walk away happy with that first round.
Yeah, I'm looking here. Let me see. Yeah, dude, I had Sissy at 20, Hood at 21. So
interchangeable.
Same. Yep, exactly. Now here we are. Here's the big news of the day. As of this morning, this would have been the Denver Broncos pick at 30th overall, but around noon, 12:15 today, the Miami Dolphins got that pick in exchange for Jalen Waddle in a fourth. So now to be the absolutely inept Miami Dolphins with a new regime, new head coach, new quarterback, all the things, picking 30th. I took Vega Ione, a guard. That should sure up one of the starting guard spots. Miami needs everything, Joe. What's left? Where do you think the Dolphins go?
So what are the odds Miami just lets the clock run out here?
Probably not. I would hope not. We're gonna. But who knows?
We're gonna take Malik Willis out of the psych unit by trading away Jalen Waddle. Get him another weapon here. We're gonna go with Denzel Boston, the big, versatile, productive wide receiver out of Washington.
I don't hate it. I'd like to see the 40 time on Boston, and I know he's going to do it at his pro day. but yeah, the tape, he was so wide open so many times that it was kind of like, it was like the Andre Reed thing in Buffalo was like, why is he that wide open? Is he just running the wrong route and the quarterback doesn't know where he is? Or was the quarterback play so inept that they weren't even looking at him and he was just kind of standing around with his arm up half the game?
Yeah, but no, but for
His
not looking at him, you're talking about a guy that's got back-to-back seasons of over 800 yards with an
yeah,
over 13 and a half yards per reception, and 11 or 20 touchdowns total in those 2 seasons. So imagine if he did know where he was going.
I mean, his dad David played for the Dolphins. He was a mean sob, and I loved the way he played. I think it was somebody else who said it, but it was, I'm not a receiver who goes around. I'm going through you, and I think Denzel Boston kind of embodies that. So I love that. Miami has absolutely no wide receivers, so he's wide receiver one, baby. Welcome to Miami. We're at pick 31. The Patriots fell in the Super Bowl, and a big reason was the line could not hold up. So at this spot, I think this is an easy pick for me. He's a bit of a projection, but my goodness, if he projects, or if he comes out, if he lives up anywhere close to his ceiling, I think Caden Proctor is a long-time starter in New England, could potentially move last year's first overall pick or first round pick out of LSU inside the guard where he probably should be playing. And then you have the true measurables playing at that left tackle side. I think Proctor and, oh gosh, what was his name from last year? Williams?
Will Campbell.
Will Campbell. Will Campbell moves to left guard, Caden Proctor at left tackle, and then all of a sudden Drake May's left side is great for a decade.
I think that's a great pick. That's what I would have taken there. You and I have talked about it in the off podcast about Will Campbell right around that Super Bowl time. Great athlete, great lineman, but I definitely think he is a liability at tackle. So kicking him inside left guard is definitely something that Patriots front office should be looking for.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Pick 32, the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks. They've lost a little bit in free agency. Where do they try to reload?
I'm going to go with Colton Hood, the corner out of Tennessee, the one you had just ranked at number 21. I think that's a good pick for Seattle in this position, getting a lot of value. And the key part of that pick is you are getting that fifth-year option on him at pick 32.
Unbelievable, man. So Caden Proctor, Colton Hood closing it out. So really, that's a wrap on the first round. One full first round mock, built live, no trades, no safety net. Two different boards, two different approaches, reacting to each other in real time. So you can see how fast this thing can get away with you once the first few picks start flying off the board. Joe, before we get out of here, big picture, what's your biggest takeaway from how this played out? Anything that surprised you, or maybe a pick that you're already second guessing now that you've had a minute to stew in it a little bit?
Well, I mentioned it earlier, 4 Ohio State Buckeyes going in the top 8 picks. The
Crazy.
other thing that caught my eye too was 3 picks in a row from Clemson.
Woods, Miller, Terrell. I didn't see that in real time.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see how this stuff breaks down. Do I think, like I said, the Browns actually go Caleb Downs? I really do think they end up trading back, even if Downs is there available there at 6. I think there's just so much needs that team has, whether that be trading with the Cowboys to potentially get 2 first-round picks in this year's draft, or getting a second first-round pick for next year's draft so they can go up and get that quarterback of the future.
I love it. Joe, I'll give you one more. Looking at what's left on the board, second round, pick 33, who's a name that you feel the best about going into round 2? That how did this guy make it out of round 1 player?
I think there's a lot of players like that. Brazel, the wide receiver out of Tennessee, is a guy that I really like. Obviously, Akeem Mesidor is still there. Hal, the defensive end from Miami,
A&M?
still, or excuse me, A&M. Yeah, sorry. Train of thought got caught there between him and Mesidor.
Yeah, that's Mesidor. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good names of availability still there. That's what I said I like about this draft the most. There's a lot of depth. People aren't treating this as a blue chip type of class, but I think there's a lot of diamonds in the roughs there that if they get into the right systems with the right coaching staffs, you're going to get a lot of good talent out of this draft, rounds 1 through 5.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. Seriously, appreciate you jumping on again this year. You were great last year. You were great again today. The format works because we can do this back and forth, and we'll definitely do it again before April the 23rd. So again, we'll have this full mock draft posted after the show, along with my updated top 50 big board, so you can go through it, react to it, let us know where we nailed it, and where we're completely off. As always, you can find us on the Gem City Sports Facebook page, the YouTube channel, or on X at RufusP88. Once again, he is Joe Alward. I'm Paul Adamaszek. This has been the Draft Podcast presented by the Gem City Sports Podcast Network, your home for serious draft evaluation. We'll talk to you again soon.